Thank you for joining us today for Mariah's senior thesis. My name is Jared Nelson, and Mariah was my senior assistant for Ancient World this year. Joining me on the panel are Miss Snell and Mrs. Miller. I'm going to open us in prayer, and then as soon as I'm done, Mariah is going to share her thesis with us. Dear Heavenly Father, I thank you for this day. I thank you, Lord, for Mariah. I thank you for her time here at MCA. I thank you for this topic that you've placed on her heart. And I just pray, Lord, that you will bless her as she shares this with us. And I just ask that you help Mariah to show through in all of it, and that she'll just be the best version of herself as she presents this. I pray that you'll use this to bless the lives of the people in attendance here and watching online. Please be with us all, and I just pray that you calm Mariah's nerves and help her to do that. Christ, I pray. Amen.
When faced with hardship, are you compelled to give up or persevere? There is not one individual untouched by the feeling of wanting to quit. It is something we all must face. God has created us with intention, purpose, and precision. Even science reflects his creativity through the design of the brain, specifically in the area called the basal ganglia. This area is responsible for forming habits, both good and bad, including the urge of wanting to quit when faced with hardship. In a world designed to quit, we must intentionally retrain our minds to resist the biological habit of giving up and cultivate a discipline that challenges society's expectations of choosing the easiest path. Developing a discipline to do hard things is never easy, especially because our brain is wired to prioritize safety and comfort over fear and stress. When we face uncomfortable situations, our brain naturally pushes us towards relief, which creates the urge to quit. Any stress, anxiety, and the discomfort we were experiencing dissipates when we remove ourselves from the uncomfortable situation or circumstance. The brain associates relief as a reward, making anything that reduces fear or stress into a lifelong habit. This process occurs because of a cluster of nuclei in the brain called the basal ganglia. Aside from controlling the body's movements, they play a role in forming habits and addictions. The basis of every habit is through a pattern called the habit loop, which consists of three components: the cue, the routine, and the reward. The cue is what activates the brain to initiate behaviors, and it can be external or internal. The routine is what follows in response to the cue. It can be mental, like procrastination, or physical, like grabbing your phone. The process is then finished with the reward, which brings satisfaction and reinforces the behavior. In the case of quitting, the relief from the stress acts as a reward, which reinforces the habit of giving up when faced with challenges. Once a habit is stored into the basal ganglia, it can be triggered by cues without much thought, making any habit feel second nature. This neurological process explains why quitting may feel automatic, even if it conflicts with personal growth and long-term goals. In this case, biologically, you are designed to quit. Resisting the impulse to quit requires overcoming not only our biological fight or flight response, but also the societal norms that make quitting seem acceptable or even expected. Societal constructs are ever changing. The mindset of persevering through hardship has been replaced by a society that demands instant gratification, comfort, and glorification of self and ego. Social media conditions us to expect rapid results, making persevering through difficulty seem unnecessary, irrational, and off trend. Only posting highlights of your wins creates a false narrative of overnight success. A year's worth of hard work to achieve a goal is summarized in a 60-second video clip. People focus on the result rather than the journey it takes to get there. Constant comparison of your own journey to others can deepen discouragement, making quitting seem like the easy or acceptable option. If something feels hard or slow, it feels wrong. Every time we quit, we reinforce that decision and muscle in our brain. Then the next time we attempt the same challenge, it becomes harder to overcome. Society's focus on prioritizing mental health, which is important, has been hijacked and misapplied to justify avoiding challenges that require growth. Emotional comfort has blurred the line between self-care and avoidance. Popular phrases like protect your peace, speak your truth, and cut off anything and anyone that no longer serves you creates echo chambers that reinforce and affirm a person's current beliefs and narratives. Quitting is framed as an act of self-care and self-empowerment. Modern technology has amplified these tendencies by reducing everyday hardship. If you want a gourmet meal, it can be delivered to your front step in 15 minutes. Convenience has changed our tolerance levels. Instead of wanting to endure and persevere through difficulties, society looks to eliminate the challenge altogether. These cultural shifts are redefining the biblical and traditional principles that our nation was founded on. As Christians, we have a biblical foundation in which to anchor our beliefs. It is not our truth we live by, but God's truth. His word is a compass and a pillar that is never changing and everlasting. James 1:12 states, "Blessed is the man who remains steadfast under trial, for when he has stood the test, he will receive the crown of life, which God has promised to those who love him." Remaining steadfast in our commitments will not only strengthen our resolve to face difficulties, but it will also bring glory to God. God uses sanctification through trials, suffering, and hardships to refine a believer's faith, character, and holiness, making them more like Jesus. So, in the pursuit of building resilience and endurance to do hard things, does that mean we are meant to push through every situation we face? Not at all. God created each of us with an automatic rapid alarm system. This built-in survival system is designed to protect us by preparing our bodies for immediate action when our brain senses danger. Just as God equipped us biologically, He also equipped us spiritually to recognize red flags. The Bible is full of examples that address using wisdom, discernment, and boundaries to separate ourselves from harmful influences. Proverbs 22:24-25 speaks directly to distancing yourself from people with destructive behavior patterns. Make no friendship with an angry man, and with a furious man thou shalt not go, lest thou learn his ways and get a snare to thy soul. 1 Corinthians 15:33 warns us that surrounding ourselves with unhealthy influences and relationships can damage our growth and our character. Do not be deceived. Bad company corrupts good character. Dealing with my own personal situations this past year, I've had to sever ties with relationships that continually repeated destructive patterns. Although it was difficult, I knew that it would benefit me both mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Leaving the toxicity behind allowed me to focus my energy on relationships that do matter. There is a right context to quit, and that does not make you weak. Prioritizing well-being is an act of wisdom and discernment that God has gifted all of His children with. In sports, the challenge is as much mental as physical, and it is here where quitting is most common. Playing a sport is a major commitment, especially for athletes who want to compete at a higher level. Over 70% of young athletes drop their sports due to loss of enjoyment, burnout, and pressure. Free time after school turns into hours of intense training, weekends shift from rest days to out-of-town tournaments, and summers go from fun hangouts with friends to spending your days on the road playing multiple games in a row. Dedicating most of your childhood is a level of sacrifice that most athletes are not prepared for, and many choose to quit before it becomes that demanding. For those hoping to get recognition from colleges, it is mandatory to play outside of high school through AAU or club sports. This is where the athlete is truly tested, where passion, discipline, and work ethic matter more than talent alone. An athlete might be the best in their area, but in club sports, every player is top tier, and suddenly being the best is no longer guaranteed. Coach Q, Odessa College's women's head basketball coach, writes in his book, From Chumps to Champs, "I have noticed that so many kids have not learned or understood the concept or philosophy of the words to be earned. They only understand can I have or you owe me." This mindset is exactly why many athletes struggle at the next level, because success in competitive sports is not given. It is earned through commitment, humility, and a willingness to put in the work even when it stops being easy or fun. At some point, every athlete confronts an internal battle between pushing forward or walking away. But what determines whether walking away from your sport is reasonable? There is a distinct difference between intentional sacrifice for growth versus reactionary quitting due to discomfort. This year, I made the tough decision to not participate in track. Running track for MCA since the 5th grade has given me some of my most fondest memories and built bonds that I will carry into my adult life. The decision to take a step back was both intentional and strategic. Focusing on school, protecting my body from potential injury, and preparing myself mentally and physically to play at the next level all played a role in my decision to step away. Giving up to level up requires long term vision, discipline, faith, and a willingness to sacrifice something good for something great. In contrast, athletes quitting because a sport becomes too hard or no longer enjoyable is often a reactionary response due to discomfort. Walking away when the process becomes challenging or less fun causes them to miss their opportunity to push through adversity and build resilience. This type of reactive quitting becomes a pattern when facing future obstacles. Intentional redirection is rooted in long term growth, purpose, and a defined goal, while quitting is shaped by discomfort and the desire for immediate relief. I have reached a point in my own athletic journey where talent alone is no longer enough, and commitment became the deciding factor. Growing up, I was fortunate enough to be athletically gifted, and because of that, I never felt pressure to put in the extra work. Once travel basketball became part of my life, I quickly realized that I was no longer the best player on the court. Every girl I shared the court with was also the top player from their high school. I was surrounded by athletes just as talented, driven, and determined to play at the next level. This realization forced me to confront a hard truth. Talent alone would not carry me any further. I am naturally hard on myself because I hold high expectations and I know my potential. One of my biggest struggles has been comparison. Watching girls my age, or even half my age, earn college offers or do flashy moves was both discouraging and motivating. It pushed me to want to reach that level, but also made me regret not putting in the work earlier. I was exhausted from the constant traveling, the extra workouts after long school practices, and the reality of giving up free summers for 5 years straight. At times, it felt like basketball consumed my whole life. Despite these obstacles, I knew that quitting was not the path that I wanted to go down. It would have meant throwing away years of effort, sacrifice, and growth. Setting firm goals and reevaluating my why kept me focused. The support from my family and friends and coaches helped me push through those tough times. Their belief and encouragement filled my tank when I felt like I was running on empty. By persevering through the burnout and staying committed, I earned the opportunity to play at the next level, something I have always dreamed of. Without clear goals, success can feel distant and unattainable, making it easier for athletes to lose direction and ultimately quit. The level at which goals are set shapes the mindset. When goals are too low, they can serve as a way to avoid real challenges and provide an excuse to fall short. If the bar is low, you really don't lose anything by not meeting it. I set a personal goal to exceed 2,000 high school career points and 500 steals. At first, this seemed unattainable, but then I broke it down by what I needed to score per season and per game. Setting short-term and long-term goals helps sustain my focus. Consistently reaching short and long-term milestones reinforce my belief in my ability to succeed. Setting the bar high isn't setting yourself up for failure, but rather pushing you to reach your potential. I had the honor of interviewing my close friend and mentor, Maritza Martinez. A former D1 softball player at Baylor University, Maritza's journey embodies perseverance in overcoming difficulties. Despite being undersized and often underestimated by her peers, she refused to let others define her potential. Maritza began her collegiate career at Midland College. Despite her 5-foot stature, she quickly became a respected leader and earned the starting shortstop position. However, her journey was far from easy. The assistant coach constantly criticized her, pushed her harder than her teammates, and told her she wasn't good enough to compete beyond the JUCO level. Despite this discouragement, Maritza continued to shine. At a tournament in Dallas with Midland College, her electric performance caught the eye of a Baylor scout. She was recruited by Baylor as their starting shortstop, and in 2007, Maritza helped lead the Baylor Bears to their first ever Big 12 regular season softball championship. That same year, they also made it to the College Softball World Series for the first time in program history. In the summer of 2007, she played in the KFC National Softball World Cup, where she faced the top women's fast-pitch teams from around the world, including the defending champions, Team USA. Today, Maritza is an entrepreneur, multi-business owner, mom, coach, and teacher. Her first year coaching high school softball at Hewitt Midway, Coach Martinez led her team to win the 2025 6A State Softball Championship. Maritza's mindset and belief in her abilities, despite the criticism she faced from others, inspires me to keep striving for greatness in my own athletic journey. In a world where both biology and culture make quitting feel natural, it becomes clear that in many ways we are designed to quit. Our brains seek comfort, our environment promotes ease, and our circumstances often give us every reason to walk away. God designed us with biological triggers to help preserve our safety, but God also designed us to do hard things. 2 Timothy 1:7 encourages us that God has equipped us to overcome challenges and boldly follow Christ. For the Spirit God gave us does not make us timid, but gives us power, love, and self-discipline. When we anchor our beliefs in God's truth and establish our why, we create a mindset that is designed to endure. We can reject the world's narrative of instant gratification and embrace the process of growth, even if that growth is slow, uncomfortable, or unseen. We may be biologically inclined to quit, but we are spiritually and mentally equipped to persevere. Thank you. Oh, yes.
Well done, Mariah.
Thank you.
So you got the speech portion over.
Thank goodness.
Which portion of this were you want her to speak?
Well, this part. The hard part is starting now.
Well, you're doing great.
Thank
So
you.
don't sweat it. So the first question I want to ask is what are your plans after graduation?
Well, I will be going to UTPB to continue playing basketball, and I will be majoring in business.
Okay, that's awesome. So continuing to play basketball at UTPB, what does that look like for you? So when are you going to have to start working out, training?
So we don't have to report during the summer. We don't report till school actually starts. But for me, I will get a packet from my coach, and I'm supposed to do it. So I will, but lots of trainings with my dad too, for sure.
Okay, yeah, that's good. Don't quit.
Yeah, I
Right,
will.
right. Do the training.
I will,
Um,
sir.
so why this topic?
I personally do struggle with trying to find the easy way out of everything. And I mean, just throughout the years I've played basketball, there have been multiple times where I wanted to quit, and so I just thought I could really write a lot about that.
Mhm. Do you think that that's a problem that's unique to you, or do you think that that's a problem, a larger problem with people in society as a whole?
I mean, I think it's as a society as a whole, everyone has their struggles, and there's multiple reasons why people want to quit, and it's not just sports.
Yeah, yeah, not just sports, but I
Mm.
mean, there's, I think, well, before I say what I think,
Mhm.
why do you think if you could boil quitting down to, you say I would say it's because of this one thing, what
Mhm.
would that thing be?
I think a lot of people just don't like to go outside of their comfort zones, and they like to make sure like whatever they do is comfortable. And so whenever it isn't, they'll shy away from it.
Yeah, you said the one word that I was thinking of is comfort,
Hmm.
right? We like to be comfortable, and um sticking with things is hard. It's
Hmm.
uncomfortable. Especially when maybe we're committing to do something that nobody else sees the point,
Hmm.
or nobody else wants to put the same effort into it. So it's hard when other people don't see the why,
For
right?
sure.
Um, so on that same topic of just comfort, you bring up social media.
Hmm.
Okay, and so can you explore more how social media feeds into our desire to quit?
So when you see other people succeed, I mean, you can either be discouraged or motivated by it. And a lot of people get discouraged and they're like, oh, I wish I had that. I wish I could do that. And so I just think because there's so much on social media you can dig into, it can just, you can dig yourself in a deeper pit by looking at others people's success. Um, Sorry, what was the first part?
So just exploring how social media can really feed into this desire to quit.
I think it's just having envy and being jealous of other people's success.
Okay. And the reality is when we look at social media, is social media reality?
No.
No,
Mm-mm.
right? When what we see on social media are the highlight reels,
Mm-hmm.
right? We see all the highlight reels, but as we view those things and we go and look at the feed, it's all highlight reels. It's like, oh man, I'm really failing in life, right? Because my life doesn't look like that.
Yeah.
It's not all the highlight reels.
Mm-hmm.
But see, that's where it's out of touch with reality because, I've heard it said before, life isn't lived in the hills or the valleys. It's lived on the plains,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's hills and valleys all throughout life, but most of life is pretty normal,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what we miss when we are just watching social media all the time and making this comparison, is that actually we don't see all the just boring normal that's
Mm-hmm.
a part of these people's lives. Okay, now I think as another part of this with social media is when we see people's success, what are we not seeing after we see the picture of their success? What did we not see?
The work it took to get
Yeah,
there.
we didn't see all the stuff that they had to do to actually get there,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's just boom, it's right there. And so, with that, that can be very demotivating since, wow, I don't have this instant success,
Yeah.
right? But
Mm-hmm.
for whoever made this post, it wasn't instant success, right? They had to do a whole lot to get there. LeBron didn't just wake up one day and he was magically good at basketball,
Mm-hmm.
but you could watch his highlight reels and think that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what happens to us when challenges are eliminated?
Like, we eliminate them ourselves, or
If let's just
oh,
say,
we just take it
we
out.
could we could just snap our fingers and boom, all of your life
Oh, okay.
challenges are gone.
Well, I think we would become more lazy because I mean, everything would just be handed to you, and
Mhm.
so without the challenge, you don't really grow as a person either.
Yeah, there's no growth,
Mm.
right? What happens if you don't go into the weight room?
You get weak.
You get weak, right? Our muscles atrophy. They become useless to us,
Mm-hmm.
because we're not actually exercising them. Whereas you go into the weight room, it's painful, it's hard, you have to do it consistently. And yet when you do it, it strengthens you and you become stronger, you become better. And I think that's the same thing with challenges,
Mm.
right? And so with challenges in life, challenges are an opportunity to strengthen us and help grow us and make us stronger as people. But when we quit, when we stop going to the weight room, then we just atrophy.
Mm-hmm.
We become weak. And so, I can definitely see that tied into your thesis.
Yes, sir.
Before we came in here, I mentioned that I was going to bring up something about Plato's Republic. Okay, so we read through Plato's Republic in Human Society and Literature this year,
Mm.
and in Plato's Republic, he talks about how there's three parts of the soul. Okay, he talks about how there's the mind, there's the heart, and there's the stomach.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so do you know what virtues he kind of relates to each part? So what virtue he relates to the mind, what virtue to the heart, to the stomach?
I don't remember.
Okay, that's okay. That's okay. Right. So to the mind, he relates this virtue of wisdom. To the heart, he relates courage, and to the stomach, he relates temperance.
Okay.
And so, which of those areas do you think um, quitting is the most related to? So the mind, the heart, or the stomach?
Maybe like wait, the heart was what was the
Courage.
courage? Maybe wisdom? I'd say wisdom.
Okay, how so?
Um, because without wisdom, I feel like quitting. Hmm. Okay. You have to have wisdom. You have to know why you're quitting. And so if you're just quitting because of a feeling and not really looking behind, like, wait, but why? I mean, you might just be quitting for a dumb
Okay,
reason.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's for sure. right? We can quit things for all sorts of dumb reasons. And so there has to be this wisdom and discernment. Okay, what about courage? How does courage affect us as or what role does courage play in this desire to quit?
I mean, if it's something really important to you that you're quitting and you've really thought about it, I mean, it takes courage to give that up because let's
Yeah.
say it's something that was a big part of your life and you can't, I don't know what it'd be, but you can't do that anymore. It takes courage to walk away from that.
Yeah, it does. And it also, I mean, with
Hmm.
not quitting takes courage, right? Because, maybe it's a really tough basketball season. Maybe you're not winning, as much as you feel like you should be winning,
Hmm.
and you're not doing as well as you might want to be doing. It takes courage to keep showing up, right? To
Hmm.
keep being faithful. Okay, what about temperance? So temperance, I'll say self-control.
Thank you. um, uh, I don't.
Do you think that, when we're wanting to quit something, how does self-control and habits play into that?
I guess maybe in the moment if you're experiencing the hardship. I guess okay for me, if I'm doing a workout and my self-control would be not quitting right then and there.
Yeah,
Because I guess that would be an
yeah,
example.
that's a great example because there's a lot of times when it's early in the morning and you're mid-workout, it can be very easy to be like, you know what, I'm done with this today. I'll do it tomorrow,
Hmm.
right? But then it's really about those little habits, right? Because it's the little choices that we make in and out each day that ultimately play into the bigger choices that we end up making, right? Am I going to stick with this thing that's really hard? Well, once again, you don't get to that point by accident.
Hmm.
If you develop this character of sticking with hard things, a lot of times it's because of the little choices you've been making all along the way that have built up to that self-control. So awesome. Well, thank you, Mariah. I'm going to go ahead and pass the mic to Missy.
Thank you.
Great job, Mariah.
Thank you.
Trying to think of where I want to start. Uh, I've encountered a lot of times in my life where I've also really wanted to quit.
Hmm.
Big things. I wanted to quit college when I was a senior. I was like done with it. And I didn't see like the results or even the reason why like it was important for me to stick that out until years later.
Yeah.
But then there's other moments where I've walked away from things and felt like I quit,
Hmm.
felt like a failure. So how does one process quitting? Because you were saying that sometimes it's important to prioritize not doing something for the sake of growth, like sacrificing something for the sake of growth. So how do I process quitting something or stepping away from something without feeling like a failure or feeling weak?
I think it goes back to the wisdom. It's just knowing, like, you know your reasons why you had to walk away and that you're okay with those reasons. And I think taking the time instead of like just taking time to understand why you're walking away from it and just making sure those reasons are valid.
Yeah, for sure. And you talked about at the beginning of your paper, and you also said it in your speech, that we prioritize comfort and safety over stress and fear.
Mm.
So are stress and fear the indicators that I should be looking for to know that I'm doing a hard thing?
To know that you're doing a hard thing? I mean, yes. No, no, no. I mean, not all hard things. Um, I don't know. Not all the hard things are going to be scary. Like some of them is just maybe annoyance or it's annoying to have to do that. But I don't think just fear and stress are an indicator of that.
So then what would potentially be an indicator that I'm pushing through a hard thing?
Um, sorry, I don't know why. Okay, could you rephrase it? Let me
Yeah.
think of something.
Like what would be an indicator that I'm healthily pushing through or encountering a hard thing that I really need to come out on the other side of it and continue in that hardship. But I still need to push through in it versus like I'm stepping away because this is producing fear and stress. Does that make sense?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay, can you just say, sorry, I'm so sorry. Can you say the first part of it? I'm like blanking. So,
How do I know well, I can phrase it differently. You talk about the rapid alarm system, right? Like we all have this internal rapid alarm system.
Mhm.
How do I know that it's my rapid alarm, if it's my rapid alarm system telling me, hey, you need to step away from this, or if that's just me internally saying, I don't want to do a hard thing.
I think if it causes you like, if it's hurting you, that's like that's your rapid alarm system instead of like something, well, I'm just nervous or I'm too scared to do that. If that makes
Yeah,
sense. Okay.
yeah, for sure. Um, okay, so I was thinking about comparison, the idea that you bring up about comparison. Is there a way that we can use comparison healthily to help us through hard things?
Yeah, I think you could definitely take someone else's journey and apply it to your own life. And instead of comparing it in a negative way, you're like, oh, well, I'll add this to my own journey and it could help you.
How does FOMO play into that? Because that's a big
How does what?
FOMO, fear of missing out. How does that play into doing a hard thing?
Um, well, it's knowing if what they're doing is bad and you're like, well, but that would be fun. Or maybe not bad, just not right for you in that moment. Maybe taking it and looking at the long term benefit. Like, okay, well, let's say I miss out on going to this party, but I have to be up early in the morning. It's like, I'll be, I won't be sleepy in the morning, but yeah.
Yeah, for sure. What do you see as being qualities in yourself that you have discovered or you can look back on, um, knowing that they came from pushing through hard things?
I have to think of a moment. Oh, I've definitely learned to become more patient because whenever I can't get something down in that moment, I get really frustrated with myself and I'll want to quit. But I've learned to be patient with myself and know, like, I'm not going to pick up, let's say, a move in 2 seconds. Like, I had to keep practicing and doing it over and over. And so just learning to be patient and I guess enjoy the process instead of just getting annoyed and wanting to throw it all away.
Yeah, for sure. Um, so if I set a goal for myself, I want to achieve this goal. Maybe it's a certain diet that I want to do, or maybe I want to work out more consistently, but I'm having a really hard time staying consistent in that thing. How do I know when the point is that I should just move on from it or that I should continue pushing uh, to accomplish that hard thing?
I think if it's something So wait, what was the question? Sorry.
Yeah, so if I'm trying to be consistent in something, my goal is I want to maybe reach a certain weight, right? Or fitness. And so I'm going to work out to do that thing, but I'm having a really hard time being consistent and working out. When do I know that I should pursue fitness in a different way, on a different path, or that I should push into that hard thing?
I think you should keep doing, I think, research to help you get to that goal, and then also have maybe friends or a family member help you out. And if it just doesn't seem like it's working, I mean, maybe it's just not for you, then either find another way, or it would be okay to walk away if you really put all your effort into trying instead of, yeah, I think if you really try to work at it and it just was not working out, it's okay to step away.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you hit on something that's really important in there too. It's just community and having people surrounding you that are going to help you accomplish the goals that you set for yourself, even when you want to quit or give up on those. So yeah, awesome. Thanks, Mariah.
Thank you. I miss Miller.
Okay, so spell basal ganglia.
Oh, you are gonna BASALGANGLIA.
Yeah,
Oh, let's go.
I assume I just wrote down what you wrote in your paper. That's right. Okay, if it is biologically natural to quit, and if you don't have a Christian worldview, how do you know something's worth seeing it through?
I think a lot of people having a purpose, I think, really helps a lot of people see it through. And even if you aren't a believer, I think that God has given us, like, everyone has a God-given drive. And so they may not believe in him, but he is still there helping them push through to that goal.
Okay. And so throughout your paper, in several answers, you've said why. Like you mentioned in setting your goals and overcoming, you have to establish your why. So what is your why?
Well, for the longest time in basketball, I really didn't have a why. I just played because I liked it and I was good. But now it's to play at the collegiate level. And also, there is a point in AEU where I like realized, like, dang, I really need to put in the work. And for me, I just don't ever want to feel like I don't belong on the court with these girls. I want to always feel like I'm meant to be there. And so that's my why.
That's your why. And so whenever we have our district meeting, all the coaches get together to decide postseason awards. As you can't vote for your own kid, other coaches, all the coaches in the district have to vote, and if your kid's on the board, you can't vote for your own kid. And so the Lake Country coach and the Lubbock Christian coach, they fight for you to be high on the board. And when in both of them, each year they've gone to the state meeting, and they have fought for you to be first team all state. So, do you know why their why is they fight for you so hard?
Because I work hard on the court for chance.
Yeah, well, both of them have made a comment that it wasn't the 2,000 points, the 500 still. It's how you treated their players after the game's over. I mean, you're keeping in touch with them when they're going to the playoffs. You're saying, hey, go get them. Congratulations. And so I think that's the why, as far as why they fight for you so hard in those meetings. So next year, you've stated this, that your goal is to start. So what if the coach decides you're not ready. I mean, you got seniors that are going to have experience.
Mhm.
You're going to be a freshman. The game's so much faster than you've ever experienced. And so, what will be your why to stick it out, to see it through?
Well, I know my potential and I know that I can, I guess, reach the goal to be a starter. And so just proving to her and showing her and working harder in practices to show that I am worthy of that starting spot would be my why.
Okay. But if it doesn't happen for you, could you have a new why? I mean, right now that's your why,
Mhm.
but you don't have control over that. So what could be a new why?
Well, even if I don't start, I can still be supportive on and off the bench. And so my new why would just to add encouragement to my teammates that are starting or are playing more and be there for them.
Okay. And so, um, w- uh, so one other thing, let's see, is you talked about having a tolerance level, like to push through, you need to have a high tolerance level.
Mhm.
And so whenever I was in high school, we went and played this school out in the boonies that had no AC in their
Mm.
gym.
Mm.
And so no. They had they would crank up the heat in their
Oh,
gym.
so like
Yeah.
our gym.
And so they would put, that's my point. And so you're helping me make my point. So yeah, so they would crank up the heat, and so and so they got acclimated to that.
Mhm.
So every time their opponents would come in, by the fourth quarter, I mean, they're cramping. You're like, you can't breathe. It's almost, and so they had a competitive advantage because they built up a tolerance of being uncomfortable.
Mhm.
And so, and then it just gets in your psyche. It's like, I can't do this anymore. And so, I was thinking one season that, man, we're going to do that.
Oh, so glad you didn't.
And so, but if it gives you a competitive advantage, why not? I mean, it's your tolerance level is raised, so you're going to be tougher mentally and physically than the other team when they come in and they compete.
Well, that's like kind of cheating, I feel like, because it's like you should both have, well, maybe if it helps us win, but I don't know. I think it's just kind of a little unfair advantage.
Oh, you do?
I think, but I mean, I'd be fine if we won, so it's okay.
So I shouldn't do that.
No, I can do it. It's okay.
You're not going to be here. All right. Okay, so I guess it's time for us to let you ask your question.
Okay, so I have a different question for all of you. Okay, Mr. Nelson. So I think a lot right now marriages don't last very long, and so I wanted to see what your advice on marriage you can give to my generation. Miss Snell, in the future, if you chose to have kids, has working with high school students changed your perspective on anything that would affect you? Or no, sorry, affect the way you would parent your own future kids? And Miss Miller. Okay, so being a former collegiate athlete yourself, knowing what you know now, what advice would you go back and give your younger self getting ready to play in college? And then I have another question for you after that.
Okay, so so when I played collegiately, so one thing I would is what you said is like my mindset was if it's not fun, I'm not doing it when I was. And so, and there gets a point in college where it's not fun. It becomes a job. And I didn't want to be. It's like when we would do preseason, it's like, okay, how can I have the appearance of pushing, giving my hardest, and yet not be too uncomfortable? And so I think I would have less fear like of your point of pushing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was also very much a me monster.
Mm.
And so when it didn't go my way, I was very much a victim. And I definitely would not live in that victim circle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I have some thoughts.
Okay.
Um, the first two things that I think are really important in marriage are honesty and humility. I think honesty is important because you are sharing your life with this other person, and you're committing to be faithful to them. And a big part of that is this vulnerability and honesty in your communication with them, because you have to be your genuine self with that person.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not always fun, right? Because my genuine self, pretty ashamed of that guy a lot. Um, and then that second one, humility. I think humility is so important because it's so easy for pride to creep in. It's so easy for me to take the stance that this isn't a me problem, this is a you problem,
Mm-hmm.
right? But realistically, it's like marriage is a two-way street, and I'm a part of the problem. And if I'm being honest, I'm probably, a pretty big part of the problem. And so I think it's important to have that humility, to not always be looking to put it on the other person, but just to examine yourself and say, what is my part in all this?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a third thing, and I think it's that my marriage can't be about me.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I think it's a recipe for disaster if I'm going into this relationship with the mindset of what am I going to get out of this, right? What is it that my wife is going to give me? And I think if that's the perspective that you're walking into the relationship with, into the marriage with, then it's very selfish, and it's not others focused. And I think that's the key, is that our perspective needs to always be others focused. The two greatest commandments are to love God first,
Mm-hmm.
and then love others. And I think loving others flows out of loving God. And so that perspective needs to always be, how can I serve my wife? Right? How can I serve my spouse, instead of, well, how can my spouse serve me?
Mm-hmm.
So those are my thoughts.
Those are good.
Okay, so I think this like goes back to my experience in high school, but then also what I've just seen as I've gotten to teach. Um, I would say that something that I would want to or value communicating and communicating well
Mm-hmm.
is where that child's identity is truly rooted. I think it's interesting. You talk a lot about comparison
Mm-hmm.
because I think it seeps into our minds as we're growing up. And I think what we quickly forget is who we are in Christ and who He says
Mm-hmm.
we are. And that causes us to go this way and that instead of being steadily rooted in who we are and the personality God gave us
Mm-hmm.
and the uniqueness of you as an individual. And so that's what I think I would want to make sure I prioritize.
That's good. Okay, Miss Miller. So, in your 2 years of coaching, what is your funniest memory of me? And you could say anything you want.
Oh my gosh. Probably,
Hmm.
okay, my favorite, probably just I got the biggest kick out of
Oh
was
no.
the dance that you and Maddie choreographed after the Willow Park thing.
Oh yeah.
I don't that was pretty, that was fun.
It was fun.
funny. Gosh, there's all kinds of just.
Or embarrassing, either or.
No, go ahead, stop.
Okay.
Gosh, you'll have to ask me that again. I will think of some. It will wake me up at midnight tonight, and I'm like,
Just text me.
tell Ryan. So I'll text you at 1 a.m.
I'll be up.
Yeah. I'll have to think more on that one.
Oh, scary.
All right, Miss Miller, will you
Oh, yeah.
close us in prayer?
I said I would.
Heavenly Father, and thank you for Mariah. Thank you for this time to share her ideas and what you've taught her. And I just pray that she'll continue to have a heart that is teachable and a heart that seeks to be diligent and persevere. And in doing so, she'll reflect you, and that the world will know that you are God and you are good through her life. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen. Oh, thank God. Oh, goodness. No.